Love, retrieval from the depths. What if I have written about love? You see, I consider it one of the two principles of expressed divinity. But today I will try to forget metaphysics and give you some of my thoughts that touch on the concept that concerns the human being. Just a tiny metaphysical parenthesis. The principle of love, together with the principle of wisdom, is what led creation from A to Z. And there, at the end of the spiritual creation, the concept of love, again, together with the corresponding wisdom, are the ones that will lead the child of the spiritual creation from Z to A. So, love de profundis. The words retrieval from the depths of the title are, as you would have already understood, a falsification of the term. It is not about retrieving this concept from my mental depths, but about bringing to the surface the essence of the word from where it has been buried, that is, as deeply as possible. It was always a simple solution to use a word that covers an enormous range of concepts that are actually derivatives of it. And to be more clear, a derivative of the concept of love is goodness, of wisdom truth, and of both justice. After that, let us see the action of the concept principle of love in the human being. I will not refer to their application to human itself, but from one human to another, and preferably from a man to a woman, and vice versa. The qualities that these two creatures may have in their relationship are many. For example, to be siblings, to be parents with their children, etc. The concepts we will see are then differentiated by keeping the basic function of love, which is that of attraction. Humans are determined by three basic functions which again are different expressions of one thing, life. The first is the material function, the second is the emotional, and the third is the mental. So love addresses these three functions differently. It's like a three-part rainbow with gradual, unnoticeable transitions. I want to say that on the border of the material function with the emotional, there is a strip that belongs to both, the same between emotional and mental functions. So the expression of love in the material function is perceived by the context of care. Please don't get stuck on the word if you have another one that better expresses this concept. When you love someone, on the material level, in the material function, you take care of him. Man, animal, environment, everything fits here. If you don't love him, her, you stop caring for him, her. So simple. Moving to the level of emotion, things get difficult. There is always the key word, but first we have to see how it is formed as they move up the region of the expression. Let's say that care is no longer the dominant element, one that is already present in the material manifestation, but diffuses into the other two, let's say, as an auxiliary factor. The first thing we will encounter when entering with the permission of love into the emotional field is lust, followed by passion. You want the other to be happy, and various other concepts related to the healthy functioning of the other's emotions. The key word is love, a small part of which is the sensuous love. In the tragedy Antigone, by Sophocles to justify Antigone's act of burying her brother, the poet says the verse that follows: Eros, invincible in battles, Eros, falling heavily on what you conquer, staying overnight over the tender cheeks of a young woman flying over seas, patrolling courtyards and inescapable to both gods and mortals, making them lose their mind. Even fair minds become unfair ones, having been dragged by you. This quarrel between these consanguineous men is caused by you. Winner is the vivid lust in the eyelashes of the beddable brides. You substitute the ancient institutional laws, since goddess Aphrodite is having fun being herself out of battle. I will mention just one more example in order to put some things in the right place. In one of her songs, Moscoliu, on the album Migrants, says, I talk about my children and I sweat. I have a year to see them and I melt. I don't need to say anything else. This is the look of love on a case-by-case basis. You can be in love with a poem, with a place, with an idea. It expresses the love principle of man in the emotional field of the object. And we come to the mental function. Here there are many concepts that, depending on the way we enter this space, we will encounter them in a different order. It is acceptance, recognition, friendship, the attraction of the spirit, but also other concepts that may apply on a case-by-case basis, such as platonic love. The key word is the word respect. It's crucial to understand that the core of mental respect lies in the simple yet profound act of recognizing the other person's presence and acknowledging their right to exist. You respect what he is. Also, you accept him and you don't insult him. In fact, using whatever care she has gotten this far, you try to give him the opportunity he needs to grow. Hence the entanglement of the concept of love. Hence its burying in the depths of understanding. Passepartout word like so many others. We hear them say, since you love me, why don't you get me a car? And I wonder, what does the subject of the question have to do with the request and the verb? None. And to summarize, respect, love, care constitute the triptych of action of the principle of love in human being. The question, do you love me, has no meaning unless it is more specific. You can love someone but not be in love with them in the sense of passion, but want their happiness. I could list so many combinations like acceptance, happiness, good life. It expresses love. But behind everything is simply love, which for your partner is the manifestation of respect, love, care. And it does not mean no love if one term of the triptych cannot be expressed 100%. So don't rush to interpret the words as we please. We always need to face life with a clean mind and a clean heart. One more very important thing. The other principle, that of wisdom, is also expressed in the same fields of operation. Wisdom also has her own recommendations. So if we want to really know what happens in human relationships, we must first understand how we function. Have in mind that the above is just a compass for how human relationships grow. I close my post with an example of what actually happens. Let us suppose that the higher self, the superego, is a man sitting at a piano in order to play music for another to hear. His right hand is that of love, and the notes he plays are love's expressions. The left is that of wisdom playing its own expressions. The chord results from both, and that is what the other person hears. I wish things were simpler. P.S. Do not imagine that the tripartite respect, love, care is free from the action of wisdom. I listed them as the least influential expressions.